Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Israel. We made it another week. We strive to enter into that rest, and it's a beautiful thing to be doing something that is set us apart from the world. In today's Sabbath Day teaching, you guys see the thumbnail, you saw the title. The real you is very ugly. Are you being honest with yourself when you look in the mirror? Are you being honest with yourself? Man, I hope everybody had a prosperous 6 days of work, just like we've been commanded. I hope you was able to prepare yesterday on Yom Day 6, get everything in order so you don't have to be out and about with the rest of the world on the day of rest, a set apart day, a holy convocation. Right now it's very important that we be honest with ourselves and telling ourselves that we don't know how much time we have left on this earth, rather than, planning and trying to take control of things that we don't have control over. When we look at the prophecies, being fulfilled, you can tell by what's in the word that we're in the last days. You can see the writing on the wall. Man, I hope everybody goes back and checks out, Pastor Dow's Sabbath Day Teaching, with the date of 14 October 2023, because it was once again, there is so many carnally minded truth tellers today that have possibly or have inserted themselves where they don't fit, and you always come out with a spinoff or a different narrative that's not the truth. That when the Ruach HaKodesh is upon you, you know that you're getting something true, you know that you're getting something pure, and it guides you the right way. Okay? In today's Shabbat teaching, we are discussing how at some point you did not realize how ugly you were as a person. Today, we are not discussing ugly pertaining to physical appearance. I want to say that because some people will automatically think that this is based upon physical appearance. But we're talking about the ugliness that is beneath your flesh. This is the stuff that we have to be delivered out of. As a human, we are nothing more than vessels that harbor spirits, good and evil. Prior to gaining knowledge of the truth of Yah and returning to the covenant, we as individual people harbored some very wicked and ugly spirits that we often try to disguise as good. When I look in the mirror every day, it's not to be vain in beauty, to be vain in self-image and say how good I look, how handsome I am. It's thinking that, man, I'm no longer worried about, how my hair looks. But what I'm seeing is the fact that who I used to be, the things and foolishness, the heathenry that I was a part of, the abominations that I was a part of, the Most High Yah delivered me out of. When you look in the mirror, you got to be honest and tell yourself, either you haven't been delivered, you are living like a Gentile that's not been grafted in, you're living like a heathen, or you're walking in the law, statutes, and commandments, walking upright. Shout out to Brother David Motley, Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Nathaniel Nelson, Shabbat Shalom. Today I changed my concept of how I do this with putting, my Word document where I've got all my verses and things like that directly in front of me. And when you see me look to the right, I got the YouTube where I can see the actual chat. Okay? We live in a society where everything fake is supported, especially when it covers up the you that deep down is ugly. This is ultimately why we have so much vain beauty amongst men and women today. It's not until you are born again and filled with the Ruach of the Most High Yah, baptized with water and fire, that you can rejoice in the fact that you have been delivered out of your prior ugliness and filthiness. For your sake, you better hope you are seeking deliverance from all ugliness that lies within, because Yah can see it all. The word says Yah judges the heart. And chances are, today I want to give you a reminder that you might be looking in the mirror, telling yourself one thing, fooling people around you, but the Most High Yah can see what's truly down in your heart. He can see if it's dark. He can see if it's wicked. He can see if you reject truth. He knows if you really love him. He knows. Today, we are doing what has been commanded. The Most High Yah told us to keep the Sabbath holy, told us to rest on the seventh day. So why are we here? Exodus chapter 20, verse 8 through 11. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy Yah. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy maidservant, nor thy manservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, sojourner that dwells with you within your gates. Verse 11, for in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Shabbat shalom. Man, there is a big problem with people looking in the mirror, hearing a word that's meant for the righteous, and inserting themselves where they don't fit. We know that the Gentiles can be grafted in, but it's one thing to hear the righteousness and the promise that's meant for Israel and those keeping the commandments, the laws and statutes, and you living lawless, thinking you're entitled to that inheritance. That's what happens all the time on first day, Sunday, sun worship, heathen worship. People are reading the scriptures about all of the blessings, the inheritance, the land, Jerusalem in heaven. They're reading all of this stuff, being poured out a blessing and all of this. But they don't fit the people that the Most High Yah was describing through the men that he chose to live, to use. Their lifestyle that you chose to live on a daily basis doesn't fit the precepts, the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. How many people do we know that say that they're new covenant, but you find out that their lifestyle and the way that they live is far from it? Today, I'm going to go over a lot of passages, a lot of different verses, and we're going to talk about, the alternative to what you're seeing. And I want to make a statement that your greatest competition is yourself, is your flesh. Man, when you look in the mirror and you're delusional, you're living a lie, you know that there's more you should be doing. It's you that's going to keep you from the kingdom. You holding on to all this worldly stuff instead of letting it go and focusing on all things of the kingdom. Seek ye the kingdom of heaven first, kingdom of God first. It's time to be honest. And as we go through these feast days, we just came out of Feast of Tabernacles. A lot of deliverance. And when you look in the mirror, you got to say, man, I haven't experienced any deliverance. Possibly I'm talking a good game, but people can't look at me and see the light. People can't look at me and see the Messiah in me, even though I talk about how good God is and Jesus is. you really don't know the Most High Yah. And today I want to give you a reminder that we always need to be self-evaluating as Israel, as the chosen people, those that have salvation, so we can progress on this walk, on this journey, on this path. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9 through 11. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Yah? That has to be somebody. Now, we live in a daytime and era of Christendom, all of these false man-made heathen religions that we can trace back to unrighteous men that weren't filled with the Ruach. You got some people that look in the mirror and because of religion think that they're righteous. Think that they're righteous. And when it comes to convicting passages like this, they deceive themselves. And we're going to talk about that. Know ye not the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Yah. Be not deceived. Don't be deceived when you look in the mirror. Neither fornicators. Look at the lifestyle in the West that we allow, we permit. We allow all this fornication, defiling ourselves before marriage, and we think this stuff is going to be allowed in the kingdom. Nor idolaters. How many people out there that enter into an agreement, a covenant, but yet they're doing all this side stuff outside of marriage? Idolaters, breaking the covenant. Nor adulterers. When we look at idolatry, behind every one of these heathen holidays, there's a pagan, heathen, Roman, or Greek god behind it, and it's not the Most High Yah. But we look at ourselves in the mirror and say, I remember at one point where I was thinking that I was actually celebrating the birth of Hamashiach at that time, who I called Jesus, because I didn't know anything of truth. Not knowing that the book says, do not follow the way of the heathen, for the customs of the heathen are vain. They chop a tree out of the forest, the workmen of the axe. Adulterers. Look at how adultery is publicized and is normalized. It's like everything that Yah hates is normalized. They want to desensitize you to it. Well, we're going to call it entanglements. We're going to call it sneaker links. We're going to call it side pieces and side dudes and side chicks. And you think that's going to be worthy before the king? Nor effeminate. Wait a minute. Nor effeminate. How many men fit that bill? Look in the mirror and just say, yep, I'm fine with being this way. Flaming, hot Cheeto, I'm okay with it. He's telling you, you're not going to inherit the kingdom. When I tell you it's you that will keep you from the kingdom, it's that wicked flesh. Nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, stealing. No matter how crafty, the heathen comes up with ways to steal. Nor covetous. We talked about that last week. Worried about what somebody else has, the reason you can't prosper. Nor drunkards. How many religious folks out here do we have that think drinking alcohol is a sin? It says nor drunkards. It's time we look in the mirror and truly be honest about this thing. We got people that's been a part of religion and falsehoods, damnable heresies for 20, 30 years that think that they are on the path and they haven't took one step on the journey. Nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of Yah. This is the stuff that when you look in the mirror, either you've been delivered out of it and you saying hallelujah, or you're either going to choose to live a lie or say, I need some help. And rather than choosing all of this worldly help, you're going to go to the one that can. Not another scholarly, educated man. Going to the one that has real healing power. Let's keep going. And such were some of you, but ye are washed. Washed. Man, there's a point in my life to where no matter what kind of soap, no matter what kind of rag, no matter what kind of loofah or body wash I had, man, I was washing, scrubbing, get out to look in the mirror, only to put some lotion on some dirty flesh because of what this vessel was harboring inside. Truly didn't love Yah. Honored him with my lips. You know, kept the traditions and ways of man rather than the commandments of Yah. It says, and such were some of you, but ye are washed, but ye are sanctified, but ye are justified in the name of the Lord, Hamashiach, and by the Spirit of our Yah. How many people that's living in sin, living in abominations, look in the mirror and lie to themselves and say, yep, I'm justified. Let me dress this thing up. Let me put on a suit. Let me put on these knee highs. Let me dress this up. Matter of fact, I'm a cover up so people really can't see what's really going on. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 6. This is a very impactful one because oftentimes you can look in the mirror and know whether you have faith. You know, when you are living your life on a daily basis and are going through these tribulations, these ups and downs that we all go through, you know whether you are leaning on the Most High Yah or leaning on your carnal mind. You look in that mirror and just like everybody has problems, either you saying, man, I gotta figure a way to work this thing out, or you're saying, you know, Hamashiach, Yahshua Hamashiach, I know we're gonna get through this thing. I'm just following in your paths. And I trust that you got me because I'm obedient. How many people deceiving themselves, saying they have faith, but they don't have no works? Therefore, that faith is dead. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. You have people leaning on their own understanding. And what does that do? You're trying to work out wickedness in yourself. You know it's wrong. It's not producing any fruit. But how are you trying to work it out? You're trying to work it out with carnal knowledge, carnal understanding. You're leaning on your own understanding instead of defaulting to the Creator. You know, and all through this thing, he tells us at the point which wickedness entered in, how it entered in, who taught us sin. He teaches us that in the book of Enoch. He shows us the first rebellion in the garden with Adam and Eve. But how many people do we say that have a relationship with him lean on their own understanding, lean on their education that they got from Georgia State? Verse 6, in all thine ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. The reason you might be looking in the mirror and not know which path you're on, have multiple personalities, split personality disorders, is because you don't acknowledge him. You have to acknowledge him. It's like, he gives us the GPS to get to the kingdom. He shoots an azimuth, a straight azimuth to where we need to be walking. And it's not until we find ourselves at rock bottom that we get humbled and say, okay, let me this leaning on my own understanding ain't working. We're looking in that mirror and not telling ourselves that this flesh is hard-headed, stubborn, rebellious. It says these people are rebellious, lying children. That's current till today. Jeremiah 17:9. Man, I often, watch stuff and I hear people try to give wisdom from a cold, dark heart. And they say, well, my heart told me this, and I'm following my heart, and it's leading them towards abominations. It's leading them to the things that Yah hates. It's leading them to foolishness. It's leading them to do the very same thing that Israel was doing when they was in Egypt. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Man, oftentimes what happens is a baby will be birthed through the womb of the mother, and everybody will say, oh, this baby is precious. This baby is an angel. How beautiful, how handsome, how pretty, how gorgeous this baby is. Not realizing that if through the journey of a person's life, if they don't never choose Yah, don't matter how beautiful everybody else thought you were, because at Judgment Day, you're doomed. Man, I looked at a statistic, I want to say it was a year ago, and it was over 85% of Americans have Bibles, own Bibles. And then it was breaking down the percentage of how often people read it, and it was alarming. Everybody chooses to look in the mirror and think that own understanding is good enough, because you can tell yourself, I'm going to make it to the kingdom. Surely he'll make an exception for me. And this thing is telling us the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. It's not until you look in the mirror and know, man, I'm glad I'm born again. I know he's renewed my mind, because that old nonsense I was doing, I don't want nothing to do with that no more. People know your mind has been renewed because you don't move the same way. You are the polar opposite of how you used to be. Who can know it? You think you know your heart? You can look in that mirror and be lying to yourself, leading yourself to eternal damnation. How many folks out there living lawless talking about, I got a good heart? Bull crap. I'm going with the words of Yah, because I know all the time that I thought I had a good heart, good intention. Listen to what I'm saying. Good heart, good intention. Good intention ain't going to get you to the kingdom. You better know what you're doing is right. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. Keep your heart with all vigilance. From it flow the springs of life. Guarding your heart. When you think about this body being a vessel, you have to guard that. Because if you don't have no guard, you're going to allow the enemy in. You don't realize that if your mother wasn't born again, you came through a wicked womb. You came through an unrighteous womb. Same thing with your father. He was either spreading seed righteously or he was spreading seed unrighteously. This is the stuff that when we look in the mirror, we got to be honest. Because at the end of the day, when this flesh dies and we face judgment, you're going to get a good look at the real you. A good look at the real you. Either you've been living, justified by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. That way you know your name is in that Lamb's Book of Life. Or you sitting up here ultimately, not sure. But you're telling yourself, I'm going to be good. You're not going to be good. Romans chapter 13, verse 13 through 14. Let us walk properly as in the daytime, not in orgies and drunkenness, not in sexual immorality and sensuality, not in quarreling and jealousies. Man, you look at this stuff that they promote today. Man, we live in a doggone society where young men are promoted to have girlfriends and boyfriends, all of this stuff at a young age, but ain't nobody being told, hey, when you leave home, boy, you need to take a wife. You need to be seeking a wife so you can have protection. Nobody's telling the daughters of Zion that the will of Yah is that I will have that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give the adversary no occasion to speak reproachfully. What's happening? We're sending them off to these places where they're taking pride in carnal wisdom and in committing the very same thing he tells us not to do: orgies, drunkenness. Man, I remember when I first joined the army. Man, I did not know how I was supposed to be living, even though I came from a religious family, Christian household, the religion of the Gentiles. That's what that is. When they tell you you're a Gentile, when you look in the mirror, either you know and take pride in being a Gentile and how wicked that is because you're not grafted in, not treated like a firstborn to Israel, or you look in that mirror and say, I know I'm Israel. I know the Ruach is in me. I know I've been filled with it. I know what persecution I face because I'm walking this way. And that's how I know I'm walking straight. In morality and sensuality, not in quarreling and jealousy, but put on the Lord Yahshua HaMashiach and make no provision for the flesh to gratify its desires. Man, I know what it's like. I look in the mirror and remember the old me being married, but flesh still want to go out and do all this other stuff. Wondering why the house was never in order. You look in that mirror, you gotta be honest, because the real you, before you're born again, is very ugly. No matter how much hair and makeup you try to put on it and Beijing and all of this stuff, the real you, ugly joker. And this is what's so beautiful about deliverance, because it's happening on the inside. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 5. Why will you be struck down? Why will you continue to rebel? The whole head is sick and the whole heart faint. Man, that head knowledge will fail you every time. Head knowledge will fail you when it comes to matters of inheriting the kingdom. Man, we got so many people. You got people out here that think that they can PhD they can bachelor's degree, they can master's degree, they way to the kingdom without ever having been filled by the Ruach, without ever having to follow the commandments, without ever having to be born again, baptized by water and fire. What? You lying to yourself. And these are the same people that make up the elite. They will never be elect until they humble themselves and start at the beginning, where everybody must start. Getting built back up, starting from a new creation. Being born again. You're not coming through your mother's womb again. No, there's a spiritual womb. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And be not conformed to this world. Woo, this one right here, this is something that people constantly look in the mirror and lie about. And be not conformed to this world. That just right there is so much meat. You're looking in the mirror, lying to yourself, saying, I'm a child of God. But yet, if the Messiah, if Yahshua HaMashiach was to return, what makes you different than the rest of the world? Your words? Because that ain't going to be good enough. Where does he find you at? Does he find you with the court of public opinion with the world? Or does he find you in the wilderness being obedient? But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. When you look in that mirror, you know whether your mind has been renewed or you still believing in them logical fantasies. Still believing in if you naughty or nice, and regardless of your kid is bad, you still gonna get them a gift either way. That ye may prove what is good. How much stuff are you trying to prove is good? How much are you testing the spirit to see what's evil and what's good? Or are you just going with what the court of public opinion says, going with what the media says, going with what the elite says, and acceptable and perfect will of Yah? 1 John chapter 2, verse 16. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes and the pride of life, it is not from the Father, but it's from the world. Man, there's things that when you embark on this journey, on this walk, this upright walk, man, the desires of your flesh, them desires that you used to have, them old dreams that you used to have, they're gone. Either you can choose this 40-year life for some, 60-year life for some don't even make it to 20. You know, you can choose this short lifespan and live your life, you know, like you only gonna live once, which you only gonna live once if you choose to live it like that. Or you can look in that mirror daily and say, you know what? I'm not worried about the things of this world. I'm focused on the kingdom. I want to see the kingdom of Yah, the New Jerusalem. John chapter 14, verse 17. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seeth him not. Let me break this down to you. You got a lot of people that are spiritually retarded that think that they're truth tellers. You got a lot of people that read scripture, that read the Bible, but they're living lawless. They haven't been born again. They're the modern day Pharisees. They don't look in the mirror and honestly evaluate themselves and say, I'm reading one thing, but I'm living another way. Therefore, I'm a hypocrite. Got these people calling stuff sin that ain't mentioned nowhere in the whole of the Bible. You got to be honest with yourself. The Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive because it seeth him not. Why can't they receive truth? They lack faith. They want to see something. And unless they can see it, they're not going to believe it. And this is why you got to be honest with yourself, because when the false Messiah comes, you're going to see it with your eyes and fall into that snare. It says, neither knoweth him not. These people don't even know him. The world does not even know him. But look at where we live at. They call it, this is a Christian country. Nothing but heathens, false religion, people not lying, people not being honest with themselves. But ye know him, for he dwell with you and shall be in you. So where everybody's running to on first day, on Yom Day 1, where everybody running to? Looking for him, but you ain't got to look for him when you know he dwells in you and is in you. Speaking of Israel this morning. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 4. And they shall turn away their ears from truth and shall be turned unto fables. Man, this was a way of life. This was a way of life. Because as a young man, I remember, going to do things that I thought I was going to get away with because family around me wasn't going to know. And I want to tell you today, just being real, if you've lived a lawless and sinful life, there's a cause and effect to that. There's a cause and effect to that. If you didn't murder a whole bunch of people, whether it be by way of abortions and things like that, you're a man promoting that stuff. You didn't committed all kind of fornication and idolatry. You can't be surprised when 10 years later, somebody catches you and they bring up the old past, no matter how you're walking, you can't run from that. The life you chose to live created an environment around you. But when you look in the mirror and know that you're on the path of righteousness, walking upright, you can address that stuff head on. Hey, I'm no longer with that. I'm not with that foolishness no more. Hey, matter of fact, if I hurt you in the past, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. That's just looking in the mirror and knowing whether you've experienced deliverance, whether the Ruach is upon you, knowing whether the Most High Yah dwells in you, or simply telling yourself to make that flesh feel good. And they shall turn their ears from truth, and it shall be turned unto fables. Think about this. Think about how many, all these holidays come around. People want to hear fables. Nobody want to hear truth. How many times have you tried to directly help somebody that say that they're a truth seeker and show them the truth of this word? And you know what? They reject it. They reject it. That's why the Most High Yah, we're going to get to that, says they're going to be under a strong delusion. You got people looking in the mirror, delusional as all get out. Don't even know they riddled with all kind of demons, not even seeking deliverance. Strong delusion. John chapter 14, verse 15. If you love me, you will keep my commandment. We're going to stop right here for a moment. How many people singing these songs? Oh, I love you, Lord. They sing these songs, and you'll be like, if you don't know any better, you would think that these are the people. It says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. That's kind of like I tell my kids, like, hey, don't tell me you're a good child while being disobedient. That's an oxymoron. Don't tell me you're righteous, but you're choosing to live lawless. If you love me, you will keep my commandment. Now, here's the thing. People can say whatever they want. We know that Israel, the chosen people, are going to face great persecution, just like Messiah did. Why? Because he was perfect in keeping the will of the Father, keeping the law. We know it's coming. How many people look at themselves in the mirror and straight up lie? In there doing their hair, brushing their waves, putting on makeup, putting their smell good on, talking about God is good and I love him. When his direction is, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. How many people are prepared to look at themselves in the mirror and say, man, I've been lying this whole time. I've been lying this whole time. How many people will hear this right here and you will keep my commandment and lie to themselves because they don't even know what commandments they're supposed to be keeping? Well, I keep Sunday, I keep Christmas. All this nonsense. I keep Easter. Don't even know what they're supposed to be keeping while lying to themselves. You're going to keep you from the kingdom if you don't start being honest with yourself. James chapter 1, verse 22 through 27. But be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. We've heard this before. What is this? What is with all of these Christians talking about that's a works-based salvation? And this is why only a remnant will be saved. Most people don't want to labor in this word. People want to hear a word, insert themselves where they don't fit righteously because they choose to live lawless, get their ears tickled, only to their destruction. But be ye doers of the word and not hearers only. How many people tomorrow is going to go in and hear the word and ain't going to apply none of it? Matter of fact, the preacher will selectively cover stuff that will tickle their flesh while never giving rebuke or correction and helping to deceive the people. Verse 23, for if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass, looking in the mirror. For he behold himself and goeth his way, and straightway forget what manner of man he was. This is why I said the real you, before you was born again, it's possible if you're watching this and not born again, the real you, when you look in the mirror, you better look deeper than that flesh. Because it's what's up under that flesh that's going to keep you from the kingdom. But whoso look into the perfect law of liberty and continueth therein, he not being a forgetful hearer. How many times people hear this stuff? I remember hearing stuff in Sunday Sun worship, can't remember what the heck was taught. Because they didn't read 1-2 scriptures and doggone told you a great story. Great storytellers, a lot of them got great storytellers, but when it comes to being truth tellers, teaching the weightier matters of law, far from them. And what do? Look themselves in the mirror, pat themselves on the back, and say, yeah, I'm earning my way to the kingdom. When you are, woe to the pastor that leads my sheep astray. Looking in the mirror, lying. He not being a forgetful hearer, but a doer of work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. This man shall be blessed in his deed. How many people will insert themselves in places where they don't belong? We see that Christians have tried to insert themselves into the new covenant, and it's on behalf of Israel and Judah. It's a false insertion that won't get you nowhere. That's what it is. If any man among you seem to be religious and bridle not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man religion is vain. Verse 27, this is the catch-all right here. How many of these pulpit pimps, jokers is really looking in the mirror doing what verse 27 says? Pure religion and undefiled before Yah and the Father is to visit the fatherless and the widows in their afflictions and to keep himself unspotted from the world. How many of them, these places of sun worship is really trying to do this? How many people say, claiming these false religions, but ain't doing this? Seeing these people, possibly widows, not helping them at all. Fatherless, women uncovered, don't have a man in their life. Second Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11. And for this cause, Yah shall send them a strong delusion that they should believe a lie. How many men, I'm gonna stop and pause on this for a second. How many men right now do we have that consider themselves high value, that are looking in the mirror saying, man, I deserve a godly woman, but you's a sinner? That's your reward, is a wicked woman. Because you choose to live lawless, you think that the best that the Most High Yah has and can give is for you? Oh, you lying. You look in the mirror lying. It says the godly woman is reserved for him that fears Yah. Is reserved. She on the shelf somewhere waiting until this man of Yah comes along. Not for you. How many women do we have looking for a high value man? A man that's just got some money. A man that worships money, but they ain't looking for a man that fears Yah and keep the commandments. You wonder why you keep getting a dud. You got to look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. Either you living religious or you living righteous. The two don't mix. And if it does mix, we see that pure religion is to be taking care of the fatherless and the widows in their affliction. It says, and for this cause Yah shall send them a strong delusion, that they shall believe a lie. I'm going to hit some scriptures in here to bring out where people often look and read this stuff and say, yeah, that's me. Yes, I'm that. And it don't fit. It don't fit, and they know it. Matthew chapter 7, verse 13 through 14. Enter ye in the straight gate. How many people we got going through the straight gate? Or people want to take detours to the strip club, detours to the girls' trip. For wide is the gate and broad is the way that lead to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. A lot of people gonna enter through the gates of what seems fun to this flesh, what seems like is a good time to this flesh. And they gonna look in the mirror and say, ain't nothing wrong with it. Everybody else is doing it. I'm gonna go with the crowd. I'm gonna take the same mindset as the court of public opinion. Rather than addressing, adultery, rather addressing polygyny head on, they're gonna say, well, we just gonna talk about cheating. We're going to come up with all kind of damnable heresies and make up our new terminology, and that should be good enough for the Most High Yah. No, it won't. How many people have we seen on this walk that grew up singing Father Abraham had many sons, but yet when they heard the truth about the Most High Yah and the men he chose to use, hatred in their heart? How you think Father Abraham had all them doggone kids? He had multiple wives, and the Most High Yah chose to use him. Verse 14, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Got a lot of people don't want to receive truth, but think that they got some wisdom, and that carnal mind, that flesh, gonna fail you every time. Your greatest competition is you. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13 through 14. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. This right here was a life changer for me. This was a life changer because either you're reading the Bible delusionally because the Spirit of the Father is not upon you, nor are you trying to seek out a righteous life, living a righteous life. But when I read this, I said, man, I've been doing this wrong. I've been doing this wrong. It's not about my job. It's not about the car I drive. It's not about the clothes I wear. It's not about how many women it's not about that. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. This right here will point out a religious man in a heartbeat. It's not about wearing a cross, chain, and pendant and think I'm iced out and I'm doing something. No. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yah and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. I said, man, I don't want to get to judgment. And then how Mashiach is asking, man, what you been doing your whole life? I say, man, I've been going to church on Sunday, keeping Christmas, going to Easter. Man, you seen TD Jake's Easter service? That thing was off the chain. No, I ain't see it. I ain't messing with that wickedness. You've been living your whole life and haven't kept the commandments. Nor did you fear Yah as the reason why you was living lawless, because ultimately they're not teaching his judgments. They're not teaching the wrath. They're not teaching ways of Jezebel. They're not giving reproof and correction. So you promoted in this culture to doggone live lawless, to be delusional, to lie to yourself. And why these people robbing you blind? This is the conclusion of the whole matter. The whole duty of man. You didn't have no other purpose. From the beginning to the end, this was your purpose. For Yah shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good, whether it be evil. You're not going to be able to hide it. We got men and women today that claim that they love him and think that the Most High Yah is going to make an exception for them. The only exception is being born again and having your doggone, your sins not only covered up as in the old, but washed away. And then turning from your wicked ways. That's the only exception that's made. And he tells you this. But we got people thinking that he came to cut a new deal. 1 John chapter 2, verse 4. He that saith I know him and keepeth not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. How many men, how many women are prepared to look in that mirror? And when you're putting your Sunday wig on, doing your vain beauty, you're putting your do-rag, getting fly, got your cufflinks on, how many people is really willing to look in that mirror and say, I'm a flat-out liar? And because I choose to live a lie, I'm damned. He that saith I know him and keepeth not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. See, Israel Hey, we appreciate these convicting scriptures. We don't run from it. We're receivers of the truth, not doggone rejectors of it. How many people would get up and walk out if you read this and then read Exodus chapter 20 in there? Or would they insert themselves where they don't fit unrighteously? Man, I had to tell myself, man, I said, man, first off, I need to go back and see what these doggone commandments is. Like we keep the Sabbath, and I read that one every time. There never was that read. I had to look, I said, man, what is this Sabbath? Started reading, started studying to try to show myself approved. I said, what is this? What is that? Just the words that's in there, they don't doggone use. And they didn't gave you some spin-off that fits their replacement theology, will have you looking in the mirror living a lie. John chapter 3, verse 3 through 7. Yahshua answered him, truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of Yah. Nicodemus said to him, how can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter a second time into his mother's womb and be born? Yahshua answered, truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of Yah. That which is born of flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Do not marvel that I said to you, you must be born again. You must be born again. That's concrete. That's concrete. How many people, tomorrow is possibly going to get baptized and the Spirit won't come upon them, just as it did in the rich young ruler, because they're getting baptized with somebody unclean, somebody that live lawless, somebody that brings food sacrificed to idols into the temple. And these people look in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm going to the kingdom. And they don't fit none of what's in the book. None of it. John chapter 1, verse 12. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become a children of Yah. Man, what is up with some of this Christian music? And that you will hear this song on the radio and be delusional, going somewhere lawless, going to do something abominable, but you will hear this stuff and be like, I'm a child of Yah, on your way to living lawless. No rebuke, no reproof, no correction will come. It says, but to all who did receive him. He tells us how to receive him, who believed in his name. This is the people that have faith. He gave the right to become children of Yah. When you look at this right here, what most people think of love and think that they know him is their relationship of being unjust but still receiving a blessing. He blesses the just as well as the unjust, but they think that that's a relationship. All because I got $1 million in the bank and I'm going to church. Hey, I got it. I'm good. I'm good to go, baby. Don't lie to yourself. Better look in that mirror and be honest. Better read that word. Study yourself approved. Romans chapter 10, verse 17. So faith comes from hearing, and hearing through the words of Hamashiach. This is a common problem. How many folks grew up in world religion, grew up in Catholicism, Christendom, Nation of Islam, but yet you were not taught the weightier matters of the law. You were not taught about how to return to the covenant, keeping the commandments, the laws and statutes. How many people is constantly on Yom Day 1 tomorrow, on the day of sun worship, is going to be getting taught, solely from the letters? Solely from the letters. And they're going to walk out of there and go watch football and be like, oh, we good. And we're going to go, and they think they're keeping the Sabbath, causing people to work, not resting themselves. Well, on Sunday is the day I do my household chores and I do my grocery shop. No matter what you think, you better look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. So faith comes from hearing, and hearing through the words of Hamashiach. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. How many people do you know that, claim to have faith, but they want to see it? And if they can't see it, they don't believe it. Possibly that was you. That was me thinking I had faith. Faith is an action word. That means you can't see nothing, but it's the assurance of things that you hope to happen. And this word tells you what he will fulfill. He's not slacking his promises. Got to look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. When crunch time is coming and you don't know how you're going to make it, you're leaning on your own understanding or you got faith. Saying the Most High, y'all going to get me through. He going to get me through. I don't care if it's down to the last second. I know he going to get me through. And even if it don't go the way that I think it's going to go, as long as he's waking me up, everything is moving, I'm still good. How many times do we see that type of faith? Or do we see this religious replica faith that want to see something? That's why this stuff look like Disney on Ice tomorrow. Look like a concert. The same kind of doggone stuff Beyonce doing at her concert is the same kind of stuff they allow up in these heathen places of worship. And ain't nobody saying nothing. Beyonce got on the same garment that the first lady got on. Ain't nobody saying nothing. Looking in the mirror, lying. James chapter 2, verse 17. So also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. That deals with that works-based salvation crap. So you got to be able to look at the mirror in yourself and say, okay, if I got faith, where's the works? What am I doing on a daily basis? How am I being a light? Matter of fact, how do I even live this faith out to show that I have the light in me? To show that truth is in me. That's what you need to be studying, to learn, to figure out. So also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. Proverbs chapter 31, verse 30. Oftentimes, when you see a woman sitting in front of that makeup vanity, that's why they call it a vanity, what you don't realize is a woman that's looking at herself and saying, the natural way that the Most High Yah made me is not good enough. But better yet, in order to be more like the world, I need to take some paint, some chalk, and put on my face in order to be accepted by the world. When you look in that mirror, you don't need to be worried about accepted by the world. You need to be worried about being accepted by Yah. Proverbs chapter 31, verse 30. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Shout out to all the righteous by way of the word daughters of Zion. Shout out to them. They are few and far in between. We got a lot of them that claim to love the Most High Yah, but they are far from him. So shout out to those that have submitted to the word, just like the men submit to their covering. But a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. That's a woman that deserves honor. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 25. Do not desire her beauty in your heart. Men out here, look at that. When you in the store, when you in Lowe's, when you in what are you truly desiring? And you have to honestly know, when you look in the mirror, that's why you've had the problems that you've had. That's why you've had failed relationship after failed relationship. You're doing the very same thing that the Most High Yah told you not to do. Do not desire her beauty in your heart. And do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. What we got going on now? Look at the day. Everybody got artificial eyelashes. Eyelashes so long, your eyelashes so doggone big, they bigger than the doggone airplane wing. Can fly off somewhere. And they're trying to pass this stuff as normal. Think about that. Think about a woman, the Most High Yah then gave you Allah. He done gave you everything you need. But rather than knowing that you beautifully made from the inside out because you've been born again, you try to improve what he didn't make. You ain't gonna make it no better. You're gonna make it worse by putting all that crap on. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 9. Likewise. But see, this is the stuff right here. This is the very same passages of Bible right here that make demon manifest in women that claim to love him. Blessed is the one who's not offended in me, as the word says. Likewise, also that women should adorn themselves in respectable apparel with modesty and self-control, not with braided hair and gold pearls or costly attire. To understand this, you got to understand the culture of the Egyptians. They was caught up in vanity. It wasn't until we started mingling with the Egyptians that we started getting so vain in beauty. That's the history. That's the culture. But he's telling you as a daughter's eye, don't be caught up in this stuff. This is not, this should not be what your worth is. You know, it should be the spirit in you that's precious. Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 17. Your heart was proud because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. I cast you to the ground. I exposed you before kings to feast their eyes on you. Man, that's not nothing. That's not nothing doggone good. Think about that. How prideful a woman can become looking at vain beauty. Covetousness, that all that stuff enters in. And it says, I exposed you before kings. Think about this. Think about a woman wearing a wig these days and the wig coming off due to wind, somebody snatch it, all of a sudden you ashamed. Think about what would not make you ashamed if you was covered, kept yourself pure, undefiled. Got a lot of people that don't want to look in that mirror and be honest. Proverbs chapter 31, verse 10. An excellent wife who can find? Dang, she's far more precious than jewels. How many women have been elevated to the status of wife, but they ain't excellent, nor are they seeking it? It says she's far more precious than jewels. Man, you got a doggone, you can take all these worldly women up that live lawless, and you got a bag of doggone cow manure. An excellent wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. Men, at the same time, when you're looking and saying, man, the woman's the problem, you need to be honest and tell yourself, man, if I was living lawless and I was a sinner, that was my reward. I wasn't supposed to get nothing, no better, because the godly woman is reserved for him that fears Yah. You ain't gonna get that until you start obeying. That's why it's an order and hierarchy to this thing. We got men wondering why they having to deal with the wickedness of a woman. I had to realize that my first marriage. Say, man, why am I having to go through this? But I was living lawless. That's why. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1 through 2. Likewise, be subject to your own husbands, so that even if some do not obey the word, they may be won without a word by the conduct of their wives. How many times has this happened? Or are we hearing the mouth? Are we hearing the nagging wife like a scorpion when they see your respectful and pure conduct? Man, come on. Come on. How many? Now, you can't even sit up and fake the funk. How many women want to insert themselves into being excellent wives when they ain't nothing but doggone witches? Nothing but witches. For every Jezebel, there's an Ahab. For every Jezebel, there is an Ahab. Titus chapter 2, verse 3 through 5. Older women. Man, this problem, oftentimes what you don't realize, you gotta look a lot deeper into this thing. Your auntie that loved the church, your grandma that loved the church. Man, how much did they do to teach you this? Teach you according to righteousness? Or did they teach you the ways of religion as you found out later in life, man, you were lost? Older women likewise are to be reverent in behavior, not slanderers or slaves to too much wine. Didn't say that they couldn't drink it. It says, or slaves to too much wine. They are to teach what is good. Man, how many women do we have now, older women, 50s and 60s, 70s, can look in the mirror and say, man, I'm the reason my daughter failed. I told her to do everything else except this. That's the reason my daughter failed. But they'll just roll over, keep giving the little tithes and offering, think that that's good enough. Better repent for that stuff. Be honest with yourself, because the real you, no matter how long ago that was, is ugly. And we all got some of it in us. They are to teach what is good, and so train the younger women to love their husbands and children, to be self-controlled, pure, working at home, kind and submissive to their own husband, that the word of Yah may not be reviled. If we just started from there, and the older women took accountability and said, man, I didn't teach that. I carried around the Bible all this time and didn't teach none of that. This is why we're having the problems we're having. Nobody wants to look in the mirror and see the real them and how it plays into this world and creates an environment for further wickedness. When we look at this statistic of divorce, 70% of divorce filed by women, 90% if they educated. This is 90% of women thinking that they got wisdom have been foolish and tore apart their home. Why? They ain't been taught none. Older women, likewise. Breaking this thing down. You need to quit trying to be all these doggone false titles and just do what the word said. The word says. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach. Man, it seems like until somebody didn't won a title, a Super Bowl, or a Final Four championship, that's the only time people give glory to Hamashiach. They give glory because they know a blessing coming. They know this world is going to give them favor, but they're not truly submitted. How many men we got men out here walking around talking about they kings? Man, I'm a king, man. But you ain't submitted to the true king. You submitted to doggone the Valentine's Day king. You submitted to doggone Nimrod, Zeus, all of these guys that ain't got no power. I will have you know that the head of every man is a Mashiach, and the head of every woman is the man. Man, I saw on Jesse Lee Peterson, that brother, he had a couple married pastors and their wives on there who was all also pastors. They got to this verse right here, and the women couldn't recite it. They was like, no, he's the head of the house. And the verse reads as this. It don't say nothing about no doggone head of the house. It says the head of the woman is the man. This right here, when you look in the mirror, if you got a problem with this as a woman, you live in a double life. If you claim to love the Most High Yah, you live in a double life. And the head of Hamashiach is Yah. Same thing, brothers. Same thing. If you doing things the way that you want to do them on a daily basis and you claim to be in covenant with the Most High Yah, you live in a double life. Living a double life. And I'm telling you how you can get up out of it. Return to the covenant. Proverbs chapter 21, verse 9. It's better to live in a corner of a housetop than in a house shared with a quarrelsome woman. Quarrelsome wife. Think about this right here. Now, this the stuff, like I said, it make demons manifest. Now, either you want to hear that you an excellent wife, you done inserted yourself in somewhere when you know you the doggone quarrelsome wife. Just because somebody put an Egyptian ring on you, don't automatically make you a Yah-fearing woman. You're going to have to be born again too. Women, you cannot look in that mirror and lie to yourself. You need to be doing the exact opposite thing of what your flesh and your mind tells you to do. When your flesh tells you that you need to put something to cover up them blemishes, no, you need to be seeking Yah, seeking guidance from your covering to get them blemishes out of your heart. Proverbs chapter 21, verse 19. And this stuff is said multiple places. Proverbs 21, verse 19. It's better to live in a desert land than with a quarrelsome and fretful woman. Man, anytime I experienced that right there, because I wasn't living right, it's amazing that when you return to the covenant, keep the law, statutes, and the commandments, you no longer have to worry about it. It becomes less and less. It dwindles down. This is an action thing. Being a doer of the word is an action thing. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 15. A continual dripping on a rainy day and a quarrelsome wife are alike. You wonder why you're dealing with that. Look in the mirror and be honest with yourself as a man. Say, you know what? Where have I led my wife to? Have I led my wife to righteousness, or have I led her towards abomination? Have I led her towards all unrighteousness? Am I the kind of man that it's 3 a.m. and my wife is up nagging with me, but just last weekend I had her up in the strip club throwing bands? You got to look in the mirror and be honest with yourself, because as a man, what you show her is the environment that you're creating for yourself. You can't escape it. You look in the mirror asking, why am I going through this? You need to be honest with yourself. Proverbs chapter 25, verse 24. It's better to live in a corner of a housetop than in a house shared with a quarrelsome wife. Now, how many women do we have out here that's ruined relationship after relationship? Men then ran out of patience because they haven't been delivered out of this quarrelsome spirit, this rebellious spirit. How many of them jump into the next relationship, say, I'm ready to be a wife, and the last 5 dudes, unrighteously, they had a quarrelsome spirit, nagging. You got to be honest with yourself. Don't call yourself a woman of Yah and you doing some of the same detestable stuff that the Most High Yah tells you not to do. You don't fit the bill, no matter where you insert yourself. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 17. Obey your leaders and submit to them. Man, this is, you have some people, they don't have a leader's bone in their body. But I'm here to tell you that if you're following in the ways of Yah, keeping the law, statutes, and the commandments, and you truly love him with action, man, you're not even going to realize this world might not see you as a leader. They might not appoint you as their king, as their leader, as elite, but you're going to be elect. Just keep walking in this thing. Keep walking in this thing and see, don't people start gravitating to that oil and that light in your lamp. Obey your leaders and submit to them, for they are keeping watch over your souls as those who will have to give an account. Meaning somebody's charged with showing you the way. You got to look in the mirror and say, man, am I the hard head with a soft ass that constantly falls flat on my face because I don't want to receive guidance? Somebody that didn't live this thing, been walking this path, not only living life, but walking in righteousness, is telling me how not to fall. Hey, leave them young boys alone. Leave them young girls alone. You're going to wind up getting somebody pregnant, not knowing what to do. You're going to wind up getting one of these fools get you pregnant. And you reject all that. And you didn't doggone lay down and had a baby with a heathen because you a heathen, but you don't look in the mirror and tell yourself that. Let them do this with joy and not with groaning, for that would be of no advantage to you. You got to ask yourself, how painful are you making it for somebody to lead you and show you the way? A lot of times people will try to make it painful for you to do your job if you are a leader, but then when you get to the end and there's victory, they don't want to give you no honor. And you've been dragging them this whole time. How many men genuinely have a good woman, a Yah-fearing woman, and she's losing faith trying to get you to do right? How many men, same thing, got a woman that don't want to do right, don't want to follow your leadership, but expect a blessing? And then when they get to the end, they want to be the first one up there in front of the camera. I did it. I made it. No, somebody got you there. Somebody got you there. Proverbs chapter 31, verse 30. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to which destroy kings. Man, this one right here, man, I had to tell myself, I said, man, when I experience moments in my marriage where I feel like spiritually I've been given an ultimatum, I'm always choosing Yah. I'm choosing Messiah every time, every time. And that right there is what brings forth a certain action in a woman. When you as a man have submitted to your covering and she knows she don't have no authority over that. Give not thy strength unto women. This is why a lot of men have problems right here. You've been groomed and you've been taught to worship women. All this stuff, happy wife, happy life. Don't believe none of that. Nope. Nor thy ways with destroy kings. Most High Yah give you a blueprint for this whole life. And either you looking in the mirror and living this life like he intended for you to live, or you living a lie. Or you living a lie, choosing rebellion, choosing wickedness. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 2. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion. Just because somebody has old age does not make them wise. Only thing you're seeing is Abba Yah showing mercy on them to live the number of days that they've lived. Of course, they've seen and experienced some things that you haven't seen because you haven't been here that long. But don't think for a second that just because somebody has old age that they've been navigating this journey of life righteously. Don't be fooled. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion. You're not getting anything truthful. You're not getting any facts. Proverbs chapter 29, verse 11. A fool gives full vent to his spirit. Listen to this. You got to think, man, when you find yourself in trouble as a man or a woman, do you fit the build of a fool, or you are looking in that mirror telling yourself you wise? But a wise man quietly holds it back. Think about that. Women and men. Men, when you think you need to say something, you got to think, man, what's going to be the outcome? You know, am I taking a righteous approach? You know, or am I giving full vent to the wicked spirit in me? It says his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back. Women, your mouth automatically gets you in trouble 9 times out of 10. Saying something that you have no business saying. You're giving full vent to the spirit that's in you, that's wicked, that's ugly, while looking in that mirror saying, I'm a woman and I love Yah. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. Man, it don't matter where you went to school. It don't matter what your parents do for a living. It don't matter your social economic status. You can have a PhD, a doggone bachelor's degree, a master's associate. You can have every certification in the world. You know what? You ain't got no doggone knowledge. Not of righteousness. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. Guidance. Somebody that's actually had the knowledge and applied it, therefore they have wisdom and they're giving you instruction. Fools despise it. You know, a lot of times we have parents that have been through some of these same tribulations, but because, you know, this stuff is generational and possibly you're not born again, the cycle just keeps continuing. Keeps continuing. Your family then been in and out of jail, had all these babies out of wedlock, all of this stuff. You see this. They're telling you, you don't need to do this. I'm telling you, when I was young, I was doing it and that stuff failed. And what happened? You go out there chasing fun, chasing the flesh, giving full vent to your spirit, and you looking in the mirror saying, it ain't going to happen to me. It's going to happen to you. It's going to happen to you. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 23. Doing wrong is like a joke to a fool, but wisdom is pleasure to a man of understanding. Think about that. You got to look at yourself dead in that mirror and say, man, do I take pleasure in doing wrong? You know, and in taking it like a joke? Oh, that's harmless. Man, everybody doing that. Or do you genuinely take pleasure and gaining understanding, the wisdom and the righteousness of Yah. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise. That's different than walking with somebody carnally smart. Just because you walking and following somebody like Elon Musk or Oprah Winfrey, that doesn't mean they leading you to the kingdom. If you can look at their life and see that they are breaking them commandments, don't obey them commandments, you're walking with a fool. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. You're going to get the same judgment they're going to get. You're not knowing they walking you off of a doggone cliff of eternal damnation, and you following along behind them. Because you ain't been born again. You can't test the spirit, nor can you see, because you're under strong delusion. That's why the words say the blind leading the blind. Proverbs chapter 21, verse 25 through 26. The desire of the sluggard kills him, for his hands refuse to labor. Think about this. Man, now nothing bothers me more when we have a grown man, you'll be on social media talking about how many people want to send me $50 for my birthday on Cash App. Fool, if you don't get your butt to work, tripping. And this is something right here that's plaguing a lot of our young men. A lot of these young men now are doing these drugs when they already got a lazy spirit in them, and these drugs is making them even lazier. The desires of the sluggard kills him, for his hands refuse to labor. Man, I tell you, as an Army recruiter, I used to come across a lot of young men that had all these goals and ambition, but nobody ever told them they was lazy. They just kept supporting their entitlement. Kept buying them new shoes, new Jordan, not knowing that these jokers were struggling, lazy. The desire of the sluggard kills him, for his hands refuse to labor. How many people out here, look in the mirror and tell themselves they have faith, but when it's time to have the faith with works, which is righteous, they like, no, I don't have to do all that. That's done away with. How many times have we heard that? And they think that's good enough before the Most High Yah. Verse 26, all day long he craves and craves, but the righteous gives and does not hold back. Think about how many women this doggone pertains to. Sluggard women. I want a man to protect, to provide, and to guide me right, but I don't want to do nothing. Any guidance he gives me, I don't want to labor in it. And you think you deserving of the best man that Yah has to offer. Better quit lying to yourself. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 9 through 10. That this is a rebellious people. This is the Most High Yah. Lying children. Children that will not hear the law of the Lord. Listen to what I'm saying. People are going to flood the church to a temple that's been built with hands, and we know that the Most High Yah dwells in us. He does not reside in a place built with man hands, as the word says. It says that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord. The law done away with. Anytime you hear somebody like that, you need to get the heck away from them. Which say to the seers, see not into the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceit. Hey, the easiest scam for a pulpit pimp is to open one of these wicked places and tell women whatever they hear. And they will soar to being elite. They will go to the forefront. And telling men, yeah, the Most High Yah says this is an abomination, but when we think modern day today, it's no longer abomination. People will flood the doggone church for that crap. And it's happening. James chapter 1, verse 8. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. How many times as a father, I had to look myself in the face and said, man, I can't tell my daughter to be honest if I'm teaching her to live a lie every time I'm bringing this tree up in here, decking it with all this stuff, telling her that I love Yah, and one day she's going to read in that book that I was a liar. Double-minded. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Think about that. As a woman, you praying for a good man. You praying for a man of God. But look at when He sent you all these men. Look at what you and look at how you treat them. You don't submit to them. You don't obey them. You don't reverence. And you wonder why you in the wilderness right now, lonely, and don't know why. Double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. You will be delusional. The word says, place you under a strong delusion. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 3 through 4. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears, and they shall turn their ears from truth, and they shall be turned unto fables. Man, when you get into this word, people don't realize that you are entering into a contract. Either you are meeting the terms of that contract or you're not. Anytime people come across these doggone, these verses, these scriptures right here, these passages in the Bible, and they read this stuff, it's a spirit in them that says, you know what, I'm not doing that. That don't apply to me. Or you're saying, yep, that apply to me, and I need to get my butt right. I look in that mirror and know I need deliverance in a particular area of my life. You know I got some things that I'm still working on, some issues that don't nobody know around me, but I know the Most High Yah see it, and I need to take it to him. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 1. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. You got these Christian pastors, teachers, all of these folk don't even look in the mirror and tell themselves they're lawless. Why? Because they say that the law is done away with. You look yourself good in the mirror and read more of that word, the stuff that they told you in that doggone cemetery school that's going to lead you to an early grave and not one of eternal life. You need to go back and read all the stuff they told you not to look at, because that's where the truth is. Them books that they told you was done away with, that was in the book in 1884, but they removed, the heathens removed, you need to go back and read all that. And that's when you'll realize, man, boy, the real me was ugly as hell. The real me was ugly as hell, even though I told myself I'm beautiful and I'm handsome as a man or as a woman. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 17. He is in the way of life that keepeth instruction, but he that refuseth reproof erreth. Man, when you think of Israel being a light unto the world, to minister unto the world, how many people reject Israel, not knowing that they're the people of the book, and we got scripture, concrete, to prove that? They try to tell you about Catholicism, Judaism, Christendom. He is in the way of life that keepeth instruction, but he that refuse reproof erreth. You follow this book. You know, if you follow the instructions of this book, which was written on behalf of Israel and Judah, tell me how you wind up at Christianity, Judaism, Mother Mary, Nation of Islam. Tell me how you wind up there. You chose a different route. You got to look yourself in the mirror at some point and say, man, this ain't leading me nowhere. Ain't no real power in this stuff. Matthew chapter 7, verse 21 through 23. Not everyone that say unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. The will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say, and let me stop right there. You doing the will of Virgin Mary. But look yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, that ain't gonna cut it. You doing the will of the Prophet Muhammad. Not everyone that saith to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. There's only one will that you're supposed to be doing. And if you're doing John Calvin's will, you doing your pastor at Little Creek Baptist Atlanta First Church, whatever you call it, that ain't gonna cut it. If you're messing around and following these men and women that ain't following Yah, hey, you in trouble. You better be honest when you look in that mirror. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works. Think about this. This is the modern day Pharisees and scribes doing all of this stuff. Grand spectacle, grand performance, but ain't really doing nothing righteous at all. Go home, look in the mirror and say, yep, I done good. Done another day of religion. And ain't took care of not one orphan, one widow, that's fatherless. Kids don't have a father. Ain't kept not one commandment, one law statute, but then done something completely lawless. You have to ask yourself, you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, man, when they do altar call in these places, I want everybody to come down to the altar. And they got you bowing down, worshiping, praying. You better go back and read what the word says about that. A lot of people don't even know that they're being sacrificed to other idols. Sacrifice to false idols. And that's not the will of the Father. Verse 23, and then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. The etymology of that word iniquity is lawlessness. Man, today I wanted to give you several haymakers, left jabs, uppercuts righteously, giving you the truth that can save your soul if you apply it. You got to stop looking in the mirror and just thinking about how the world sees you. People do all this stuff every day, worried about how the world sees you. When I was putting Beijing and all of this crap in my head, I was worried about how the world saw me. Not once was I looking in the mirror thinking about, man, how does Yah see me? What will Hamashiach have to say about the way I'm living my life on the day of judgment? Can I truly sleep good knowing that I've done something that's actually in the book, or have I just been religious and not bridled my tongue? That's what this whole teaching is about. Looking in that doggone mirror and looking beneath that flesh and seeing what you got deep down inside of you that's ugly and wicked that you need to be delivered out of. And no matter how far you all are on this walk, there's always going to be something. You never know what could come upon you, what could attach itself to you spiritually. And that's why we always had to be seeking deliverance, repenting for the ways that we know we're living and turning from our wicked ways. Man, I hope everybody has a blessed rest of the Shabbat. You're able to truly rest. Don't even think about work. If you got a problem with people calling about work on the Shabbat, turn your phone off. Turn your phone off. And then the sun goes down. If you want to turn it back on, turn it back on. But a lot of times you'll catch a lot of people that say things like, man, I know you're keeping the Shabbat, but I don't mean to bother you. And then here's comes the falsehoods that they believe in, trying to get you to violate them doggone commandments. Violate. Man, I had to I told my own mama, I'm not missing the kingdom because of you. I'm not. You want me to do something? We got to do that before. We do it on Yom Day 6. We do it on Yom Day 5, but we ain't doing that on Yom Day 7. Yom Day 7, when you have time to prepare, and I've already given you the guidance. Hey, run me to the supermarket. Run me over here. Let's go over here. Causing other people to work. Nope. Y'all gave you 6 days to work, 6 days to plan accordingly. And just like they did in the book, you need to be preparing yourself to enter into that rest on the Sabbath. On the seventh day. Man, I hope everybody truly has a blessed day, enters into that rest, continues to stay in that rest. And I hope you got something out of this word. Let me get in this comment. Hey, Maurice Delva. Hey, I appreciate you for tuning in. Timothy Shropshire. Appreciate it. Glory to the Most High Yah. McCoy White. Hey, I appreciate it. Dwayne Johnson. All glory to the Most High Yah. For every view, for every comment, you know, for every piece of edification that comes. Hey, the Most High y'all get all the glory, because at the end of the day, when I looked in that mirror and I know the real ugly me that used to be, hey, I ain't worthy of it. Not worthy of it. So I appreciate it. John Charlemagne, Shabbat Shalom. Hey, I appreciate all you for tuning in. Share this. If you haven't watched Pastor's Dow Sabbath Day service or the Blog Talk radio last night, or Lion's Den, which came out on Wednesday on Straightway, Indiana, Goshen, go back and check all those out. Closer to Yah Ministries, kicking it gun barrel straight.